The sky above the planet Dravira burned in streaks of red and orange, painted by explosions and the fire of falling ships. Smoke twisted in thick columns, drifting over the ruined cities like dark fingers reaching for the horizon. Ethan gritted his teeth as he ran across the cracked pavement, his boots crunching against debris. Around him, the screams of civilians and the sounds of gunfire blended into a terrible symphony of chaos. He had volunteered for this mission knowing the risk. Humanity's small coalition had joined the fight alongside the peaceful alien colonies of Dravira. The aliens were technologically advanced, but the invading forces were ruthless and determined to conquer everything in their path. Ethan's squad moved quickly through the ruined streets, guiding families toward the evacuation zones. Every building seemed unstable, and the air smelled of burning metal and ozone. He scanned every corner, knowing danger could come from anywhere. Then he heard it, a child's cry, small and frightened, echoing from a half-collapsed building nearby. Without hesitation, Ethan sprinted toward the sound. His heart pounded as he pushed through rubble, ducked under beams, and avoided sparks that flew from damaged electrical lines. Inside the building, the chaos was amplified. Walls were crumbling, and the floor threatened to give way with every step. Then he saw her. A young alien girl, not more than 10 by human standards, with wide, luminous eyes and silver blue hair that shimmered in the flickering light. She was trapped under a fallen beam, her small hands clutching the edge of a glowing console. Fear filled her gaze, but it was mixed with determination. "Hold on. I've got you," Ethan shouted, dropping to his knees beside her. He lifted the beam with all his strength, sweat stinging his eyes. The girl's small body was trembling and her voice barely escaped her lips. "Please, hurry," she whispered, tears streaking her face. Ethan gritted his teeth. He could feel the vibrations of the building as if it were alive, groaning under the strain of damage. Then, without warning, a series of explosions rocked the structure. Energy cores from the building's power systems had been damaged in the attack, and they were unstable. One wrong spark could destroy the entire block. "Move," Ethan shouted, grabbing the girl's small hand. He pulled her toward the exit, but before they could reach it, a massive explosion erupted behind them. Shards of metal and fire shot into the air, and a wave of energy knocked Ethan off his feet. He slammed to the ground, feeling the heat and force press against him. Without thinking, he rolled over the girl, shielding her from the worst of the blast. The world around him became a blur of light and sound. Flames licked at his arms, and he felt the searing heat across his back. Debris rained down, cutting into his suit. But he held onto the girl with every ounce of strength he had. Her small form was pressed against his chest, and he whispered, "It's okay. You're safe. Just hold on." Then darkness. Ethan felt his consciousness slipping away. He could hear Leora's voice faintly in the chaos, a soft sound that carried through the roar of destruction. "Thank you," she whispered. The last thing he saw before everything went black was her wide, frightened eyes filled with trust and hope. And for a brief, shining moment, that image stayed with him as he fell into nothingness. When Ethan woke, it was not to the burning streets or the smell of smoke. Instead, he opened his eyes to soft, ambient light and an unfamiliar, calming atmosphere. The first thing he noticed was that he was lying on a smooth surface, surrounded by walls that seemed to glow with a soft blue energy. The air was warm, and there was no smoke, no fire, no chaos, only quiet. He sat up slowly, wincing as pain shot through his body. His uniform was singed and torn, but he was alive. For a moment, he tried to remember what had happened. The explosion, the girl. Yes, he had shielded her. He looked around and realized he was not alone. Strange figures surrounded him. They were humanoid in shape, but clearly alien. Some had elongated limbs, others had skin that shimmered like liquid metal, and all had eyes that glowed softly. They watched him silently, their expressions unreadable. "Where am I?" Ethan croaked, his voice hoarse. A soft, melodic voice replied, "You are safe. Do not be afraid." Ethan turned his head and saw a woman tall and regal, her silver hair flowing down her shoulders. Her eyes were gentle but full of intelligence and authority. "My name is Seralis," she said. "You are in the sanctuary of the Zarathi. You risked your life to protect one of our young. That courage has been noted." Ethan's eyes widened. "The girl, she's okay?" Seralis smiled faintly. "She is unharmed. Leora is with the healer now, recovering from the shock. You saved her life." Ethan exhaled shakily, relief washing over him. I couldn't let anything happen to her." The alien woman nodded. Humans are rare. Your species shows great bravery, especially when protecting others. It is remarkable. Ethan tried to stand, but pain in his limbs made him wince. Another figure, smaller and cloaked in soft light, approached. Please rest, it said. You have endured much. As Ethan leaned back, he felt a strange mixture of awe and fear. These beings were unlike anything he had ever seen, yet there was something familiar in their way of speaking, a recognition of the importance of courage and life. Then a soft voice spoke behind him, and his heart skipped a beat. Ethan. He turned and saw Leora, her small form standing in the doorway. She looked exhausted but unharmed, her glowing eyes wide with a mixture of relief and curiosity. You saved me, she whispered. Ethan forced a weak smile. I promised. I couldn't let anything happen to you. The girl stepped closer, her tiny hand brushing against his. It was a simple gesture, but in it, Ethan felt a bond forming, one built on trust, bravery, and mutual respect. Seralis observed quietly. Your actions have created ripples far beyond this room. The Council will want to meet you. They will wish to understand your species and the courage you displayed. Ethan nodded slowly, still trying to absorb the weight of his situation. He had saved Leora, yes, but now he realized he was at the center of something much larger than himself. Somewhere in the stars above, decisions were being made about humans, about trust, and about the role they could play in the galaxy. Leora looked up at him, her small voice full of wonder. Are humans always like this? Ethan chuckled softly, despite the pain in his chest. No, but sometimes we can be, when it matters the most. The young alien smiled faintly, and for the first time Ethan felt a glimmer of hope. He had survived the explosion, and now he was somewhere new, surrounded by beings far beyond human understanding. Yet in the midst of all this, he realized something simple and powerful. Courage, compassion, and selflessness were universal, and as he lay back against the smooth surface, listening to the quiet hum of the chamber, he understood that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, and somehow, humanity, and humans like him, might have a place in it after all. The last thought before exhaustion claimed him once more was a simple promise. He would protect Leora, no matter the cost, no matter the threat, and whatever awaited him in the hands of the Zerathi, he would face it as a human, brave, unyielding, and determined. Ethan's eyes fluttered open again. The soft blue light of the Zerathi chamber greeted him, but this time he could see more clearly. The walls shimmered with flowing patterns, almost alive, and soft hums of energy filled the room. The air was warm, scented faintly with something like wildflowers, although unlike anything on Earth. He tried to sit up, wincing as pain pulsed through his shoulders and back. A gentle hand pressed against his arm. It was Leora, her glowing eyes wide with concern. Are you awake? She asked softly. I am, Ethan said, his voice hoarse. How are you? I'm fine, Leora replied, shaking her head. The healer says it's only shock. You saved me. Ethan tried to smile, but the pain made it difficult. I couldn't let anything happen to you, he murmured. From the side of the room, Seralis stepped forward. Your actions were extraordinary, she said, her voice calm and resonant. Not many of your species would risk themselves for another being. It is rare, very rare, Ethan blinked. Extraordinary. I just did what I had to do. Anyone would, Seralis shook her head. No, humans are brave, yes, but selfless bravery. The willingness to put another's life above your own is uncommon. The Council will wish to speak with you. They will want to know more about humanity. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had expected to rest, to recover, but now he was thrust into something bigger. The Council? Who are they? Seralis gestured gracefully. The Zerathi Council governs our people. They are wise and powerful, and they watch over the galaxy to ensure balance. Your actions have drawn their attention. Soon you will meet them. Before Ethan could respond, the floor beneath him shifted softly, almost like it was moving under him. He felt a gentle vibration as the chamber's surface split open, revealing a staircase of glowing steps leading upward. Leora looked up at him, her small face filled with excitement. Shall we go? She asked. Ethan nodded, pushing himself to his feet. Pain lanced through his body, but he ignored it. He had faced explosions and fire. He could handle walking up a few steps. Together they ascended, leaving the chamber behind. The staircase led to a wide hall. Here the architecture was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. The walls curved and twisted, made of a material that seemed alive, almost breathing. Lights floated freely in the air, illuminating intricate symbols that pulsed with energy. The air was filled with a low hum, soothing yet powerful, as if the entire building had a consciousness of its own. At the end of the hall, a large circular chamber awaited. Ethan stepped inside and froze. Before him stood the Zarathi Council, 5 figures tall and imposing, each radiating calm authority. Some had translucent skin that revealed glowing veins, while others had forms that shimmered like liquid silver. Their eyes, glowing softly, turned to him in unison. Seralis guided him forward. "Council, this is Ethan, the human who risked his life to protect Leora." The tallest of the council members stepped forward. His voice was deep, resonant, and carried a weight that made Ethan's chest tighten. "Ethan of Earth, you have done something remarkable. You have demonstrated courage and selflessness beyond what we anticipated from your species." Ethan swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. I just did what anyone should do. I didn't think about what it meant. You acted," the silver-formed council member interrupted gently. "And in acting, you have shown qualities that are rare in the galaxy. Courage, selflessness, loyalty. Your species, though young and untested in galactic matters, carries potential we have rarely observed." Leora stepped closer, her small hand brushing Ethan's. He felt a warm surge of reassurance. The council was not threatening, but the weight of their attention made him realize that his actions had consequences far beyond the ruined streets he had left behind. Another council member, her form shimmering like liquid crystal, spoke. "We wish to understand you, human. Your choices in the face of danger, your willingness to shield another from harm. These are traits we wish to see more of in the galaxy. You may be the start of something greater." Ethan's mind raced. He had survived the explosion, saved a child, and now he was at the center of a council of alien beings who seemed capable of judging the fate of entire species. I don't know what to say," he admitted. "You need not speak," said another council member, a being whose skin reflected the chamber's light in patterns that shifted like water. "We will observe your actions further. You will face trials, challenges to demonstrate your species' qualities. If you succeed, humans will earn a place in the larger affairs of the galaxy." Ethan blinked. "Trials?" "Yes," said Seralis. "You will not only be tested for bravery, but also for intelligence, empathy, and adaptability. You will face situations that may be difficult to predict. How you respond will show what humans are truly capable of." Ethan swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. This was more than he had expected. He was used to fighting on the ground, using weapons and tactics, not facing alien trials to prove the worth of his entire species. But he felt a spark inside him, a quiet determination. He had faced impossible odds before. He could do this too. Leora tugged gently on his arm. "We'll do it together," she said softly. "I'll help you. You saved me, now I'll help you." Ethan looked down at her and nodded. Her trust in him made him feel stronger. "Okay, together," he said. The council observed silently, then the room shifted. A platform rose beneath them, lifting Ethan and Leora into a chamber filled with holographic projections. The walls displayed simulations of alien cities, landscapes, and complex scenarios. Ethan realized this was a training environment, a place to test him. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Your first trial will assess your ability to respond to unexpected threats. Observe, decide, and act. Your choices will be recorded and evaluated." The projections came alive. Alien civilians were in danger, trapped in a city under attack by robotic invaders. Explosions erupted around them and the civilians panicked. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He immediately began to analyze the situation, taking note of exits, obstacles, and potential dangers. "Leora," he whispered, "where can we help first?" She pointed to a group of children trapped near a collapsing building. Ethan didn't hesitate. He dashed forward, ducking under energy blasts and moving debris, guiding the children to safety. His movements were quick, precise, and confident, reflecting years of training and battlefield experience. Next, a group of injured adults called for help. Ethan coordinated with Leora, who used her knowledge of the alien technology to manipulate energy shields and clear debris. Together they moved efficiently, saving as many as possible. The trial continued for what felt like hours, with new challenges appearing constantly. Ethan encountered moral dilemmas, choosing whether to save a larger group by risking himself or focus on a smaller, more vulnerable group. Each time he acted with bravery, empathy, and clear judgment. When the final projection faded, Ethan looked around, exhausted but satisfied. Leora smiled at him, pride shining in her eyes. "You did it," she said softly. The council observed silently, then nodded in unison. "You have performed well, human," said the tall council member. "Your actions have shown courage, quick thinking, and compassion. You have demonstrated that humans, though young in galactic terms, possess qualities that can influence the course of events." Ethan felt a surge of relief. He had expected to fail, to be found lacking, but instead, he had proven himself in ways even he had not imagined. Siralis stepped forward. "Your journey is only beginning. The galaxy is vast, full of dangers and wonders. You have earned the trust of this council, but you must continue to show humanity's potential. Together, you and Leora may influence what comes next." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had survived an explosion, saved a life, and now he faced trials that could shape the future of humans and aliens alike. As he looked at Leora, he realized something important. Courage and selflessness were universal. They were not limited to humans. They were qualities that could inspire beings across the galaxy. And perhaps if he continued to act with bravery and wisdom, humanity could earn a place among the stars. For the first time since the explosion, Ethan allowed himself a small smile. The future was uncertain, but he was ready. Whatever trials awaited him, he would face them head-on, because he was human, and humans, when it mattered most, never gave up. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the soft hum of the Zarathi sanctuary. Sunlight, filtered through the crystalline walls, painted the room in shades of gold and silver. He stretched carefully, wincing slightly as muscles he hadn't realized he had tensed during the previous day's trial protested. Leora sat cross-legged nearby, her glowing eyes reflecting the light, watching him with a quiet intensity. "Morning," she said softly, her voice carrying a mix of excitement and concern. "Are you ready for today?" Ethan groaned, rubbing his neck. "Ready? I survived explosions, nearly died, and then passed some alien trial yesterday. How could I possibly be ready for today?" Leora smiled faintly. "You'll see. The council has bigger challenges today. They said it would test more than courage. Today is about intelligence and teamwork." Ethan nodded, rising to his feet. He had learned quickly that the Zarathi were patient but precise. Every moment of inaction was observed, every choice noted. Today he would need to prove that humans could do more than act bravely. They could think, adapt, and lead under pressure. Siralis entered the room, her silver hair catching the light. "Ethan, Leora," she said, her voice calm yet commanding. "The council has prepared your next trial. Follow me." The pair followed Siralis through the twisting halls of the sanctuary. The walls shifted slightly as they moved, responding to their presence. The air was filled with a low hum that seemed to resonate with Ethan's heartbeat. It was strange, almost comforting, and reminded him that he was in a place unlike any human city he had ever known. They arrived at a large, circular chamber. This one was different from yesterday's. The floor was a smooth, reflective surface, and in the center floated a holographic projection of an alien city under siege. Buildings crumbled under energy blasts, and small groups of civilians fled in panic. Surrounding the city, robotic forces moved with terrifying precision, their weapons firing relentlessly. "This trial," Siralis explained, "will test your ability to make decisions under pressure. You will not be able to save everyone. You must choose how to act, how to allocate resources, and how to protect those who matter most. The council will observe every choice you make." Ethan swallowed hard. The stakes felt higher than before. Yesterday had been about quick action and bravery. Today it was about judgment, strategy, and responsibility. "Leora," he whispered, "we need a plan. Where do we start?" She pointed to a group of civilians trapped near a collapsing transport hub. "These are the most vulnerable. If we act quickly, we can save them first." Ethan nodded. "Okay, let's move." Together they navigated the simulated city, guiding civilians to safety. Ethan coordinated movements, instructing Leora on which streets to clear using her alien knowledge of energy barriers. He quickly realized that the simulation was designed to push them toward impossible choices. In one corner, a building teetered on the edge of collapse with dozens of civilians inside, while in another, robotic invaders advanced toward a group of injured adults. Ethan's mind raced. Should he save the larger group or focus on the most vulnerable? He recalled the words of the council: courage, intelligence, and empathy. He decided to split his attention, assigning Leora to create a barrier around the injured adults while he rescued those trapped in the building. The next few minutes were intense. Ethan dodged falling debris, shouted instructions to civilians, and used his environment to his advantage. Leora's knowledge of the alien energy systems allowed her to stabilize barriers temporarily, buying time for those in danger. At one point, a massive robotic enforcer appeared in the simulation, blocking Ethan's path. Its size and strength were overwhelming. He could feel the simulation pressing him toward a corner. Panic surged in him for a moment, but he forced himself to think. Humans had survived worse. He had learned to adapt, to improvise. He noticed a pile of energy conduits nearby. Using them as leverage, he created a temporary obstruction, slowing the robot. Then, using a series of quick maneuvers, he guided the trapped civilians to a safe exit. Leora joined him moments later, smiling faintly. "You're incredible," she whispered, admiration clear in her voice. Ethan shook his head, trying to hide his fatigue. "I'm just doing what I think is right. That's all." The simulation intensified. Explosions erupted, new groups of civilians appeared in danger, and robotic invaders moved faster and more unpredictably. Ethan realized that yesterday's lessons in courage were only part of what the council wanted to see. Today was about thinking ahead, predicting threats, and balancing risk. He made a split-second decision. Instead of attempting to save every group simultaneously, he focused on the clusters with the highest chance of survival. It was not perfect, and some simulated civilians were lost, but the majority were safe. He felt a pang of guilt for those he couldn't save. But he knew the council was watching not for perfection, but for wisdom, judgment, and the ability to act under pressure. Finally, the simulation ended. The projection of the city dissolved, leaving Ethan and Leora standing in the center of the chamber, breathing heavily. Siralis and the council members observed silently, their expressions unreadable. The tall council member spoke. "You have made choices that reflect not only bravery but also intelligence and empathy. You understood limitations, weighed risks, and acted decisively. This is rare. Humans often act impulsively, yet you balanced instinct with reason." Ethan exhaled, relief flooding through him. I just tried to do the best I could." Another council member, whose form shifted like liquid crystal, nodded. "Your actions show promise. You are learning quickly. Your species is young, but when guided by courage and thoughtfulness, humans can achieve more than expected. You have passed this trial." Leora stepped closer, her small hand brushing Ethan's arm. "You did it," she said softly. "You proved them wrong about humans." Ethan looked down at her, feeling a warmth he couldn't explain. Her faith in him made him feel stronger, more capable than he had ever imagined. "We did it," he said quietly. "Together," Siralis observed with a faint smile. "Indeed, you two work well as a team. Trust and cooperation are as important as bravery and intelligence. This is another lesson the council wishes to see you master." Ethan nodded, absorbing the weight of her words. He realized that the trials were not only about him, they were about demonstrating the potential of humans to the galaxy. His species had long been underestimated, and here, in the presence of beings far older and more advanced, he had a chance to show what humanity could achieve. The council spoke again. "Your next trial will test adaptability and resilience. You will face situations that cannot be fully anticipated. The way you respond will demonstrate the flexibility of humans and the strength of their character under pressure." Ethan's jaw tightened. He had faced explosions, chaos, and impossible moral choices. He could face more. He had survived, and he had learned that humans were capable of more than they often believed. Leora tilted her head, a soft glow emanating from her eyes. "We'll face it together," she said. Ethan smiled, a spark of determination lighting his expression. "Yes, together. Whatever comes, we won't back down." As the chamber shifted again, preparing them for the next trial, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. He had risked his life to save Leora, and now, he was part of something larger, a chance to prove that humanity could stand among the stars, not through power alone but through courage, compassion, and intelligence. The trials would grow more difficult, he knew, but he was ready. He had Leora at his side, the lessons of survival etched into his mind, and a determination that burned brighter than any explosion he had ever faced. Humans, he realized, were not just survivors. They were thinkers, fighters, and, when it mattered most, heroes. And today, he would show the galaxy exactly that. The morning air in the Zarathi sanctuary was filled with tension. Ethan awoke to the soft hum of energy flowing through the walls, but today, the familiar calm felt different. Outside, the sensors had detected a new presence, an approaching enemy force responsible for the explosion he had survived. Seralis entered the room, her expression serious. "Ethan, Leora," she said, "the threat has returned. They are approaching the orbital facility. This time their intent is clear. They seek Leora and the knowledge she carries." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had expected trials, tests, and challenges, but now real danger loomed. "How many?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear curling in his chest. "Too many to face alone," Seralis replied. "You will need to lead the defense. Your actions will show the Council that humans can act decisively under real threat, not just in simulation." Leora stepped forward, her small form resolute. "We can do it," she said softly. "I know the systems here." "I'll help you," Ethan nodded. "Then let's prepare. We can't let them reach you or the facility." The orbital facility stretched far above the planet's surface, a marvel of Zarathi engineering. Its defensive turrets glimmered with energy and shields pulsed in soft blue waves around its perimeter. Ethan followed Leora to the command center, where holographic screens displayed approaching ships and energy signatures. Ethan studied the readings carefully. "They're fast and well-armed," he said, pointing to clusters of enemy ships. "If we focus all our defenses on one side, they'll flank us from another. We need to spread resources, set traps, and control choke points." Leora nodded, moving her hands over the console. Energy barriers activated, forming temporary shields in key areas. "We can slow their approach here and here," she said, pointing to the holographic map. Ethan considered their options. "Good. I'll coordinate turret fire and assign personnel. You focus on the energy barriers. If we act together, we can give our forces a fighting chance." The enemy ships drew closer, their energy signatures growing brighter on the screens. The first warning alarms echoed through the facility. Ethan felt the familiar surge of adrenaline, the same that had driven him to shield Leora from the explosion. He pushed fear aside. Now he had to lead. "Positions," he commanded. Alien soldiers moved quickly, taking their stations at turrets, energy barriers, and control points. Ethan and Leora worked side by side, issuing orders and activating defensive systems. The enemy struck suddenly. Energy blasts tore through space, colliding with the facility's shields. Sparks flew across the control room as alarms blared. Ethan ducked instinctively, shouting instructions. "Turrets left flank." Leora raised the barrier near the docking bay. "We can't let them break through." The battle intensified. Ethan coordinated attacks, using every bit of tactical knowledge he had gained from years of human military training. He predicted enemy movements, rerouted energy to shields, and guided civilians and injured personnel to safe zones. Leora assisted flawlessly, manipulating alien technology in ways even Ethan could barely comprehend. At one point, a massive enemy vessel breached the outer shields, firing directly at the docking bay. Ethan's heart pounded. He realized that if it wasn't stopped, the facility and Leora could be destroyed. Thinking quickly, he ordered a diversion. Smaller ships would draw its attention while turrets concentrated fire on its weak points. The plan worked. The enemy ship faltered under the coordinated attack, giving the facility's defenses time to recover. Ethan felt a rush of relief, but there was no time to celebrate. More ships approached, faster and more numerous than before. Amid the chaos, a group of civilians became trapped on a lower level. Ethan's instincts kicked in. Without hesitation, he grabbed a transport pod and navigated through corridors filled with falling debris and sparks. Leora joined him, guiding the energy shields to create a safe passage. "Almost there," Ethan shouted, pushing the pod forward. A sudden explosion rocked the corridor and the pod tilted dangerously. He held on tightly, feeling the impact jolt through him, but he refused to let go. With a final surge of strength, he pushed the pod into safety. The civilians inside cheered softly, gratitude in their eyes. Ethan exhaled, realizing that every decision mattered. This was no simulation. Lives depended on his choices, and every mistake could be fatal. He felt the weight of responsibility, yet he refused to falter. "Leora," he said, turning to her briefly, "we have to anticipate their next move. They'll target the central energy core next." She nodded, manipulating the barriers to shield the core. "I can reinforce it temporarily, but we'll need to redirect energy from the outer shields to hold them off." Ethan quickly devised a plan. "We'll create a controlled channel on the south side, funneling them into our defensive fire. It's risky, but it will buy us time to protect the core." The plan was executed flawlessly. Enemy ships guided by the channel became easy targets for the facility's turrets. Explosions erupted in space as ships were disabled, and the tide of battle began to turn. Yet, despite the success, danger remained. A smaller elite strike team had slipped past the defenses, heading directly for Leora. Ethan spotted them on the sensors, moving with deadly precision. "Leora, stay close," he said firmly. "I'm not letting anyone touch you." The strike team boarded the facility. Ethan confronted them directly, using agility, strategy, and quick thinking to neutralize their attacks. Leora assisted from a distance, manipulating energy fields to confuse and slow the invaders. Together they moved as a team, anticipating each other's actions without words. One of the enemy attackers charged at Leora, but Ethan intercepted with a well-timed move, pushing her out of danger and taking the brunt of the attack himself. Pain shot through his side, but he gritted his teeth and kept moving. The Zarathi soldiers around him pressed forward, inspired by his courage and determination. After what felt like hours, the last enemy ship was neutralized and the orbital facility's shields stabilized. Ethan leaned against a wall, breathing heavily, exhaustion and relief mixing in equal measure. Leora approached, her eyes filled with admiration. You saved everyone," she whispered. Again, Ethan shook his head, trying to hide his fatigue. "No, we saved everyone, together." Seralis appeared, her expression calm but proud. "Ethan, Leora, you have demonstrated qualities beyond what the Council expected. You acted decisively, courageously, and with intelligence. You inspired those around you. Your species, though young, has shown that it can stand alongside the greatest in the galaxy." Ethan glanced at Leora, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He had risked his life once before to save her, and now he realized that his actions had earned respect not only from the Council, but from an entire species. Humans, he thought, were capable of more than they often realized. The Council observed silently, then spoke together. "Your trials have shown us that humans are brave, intelligent, and adaptable. You have faced both simulated and real dangers and emerged with honor. This is a rare accomplishment." Ethan exhaled, a smile breaking across his face despite the pain. I never expected this. I did what I had to do." Leora touched his arm gently. "And that's exactly why it matters. Courage isn't about expecting recognition. It's about doing what's right." Ethan nodded, feeling a bond stronger than ever between them. Together they had faced simulations, impossible decisions, and now real danger. And together, they had succeeded. Seralis looked at them both, her voice soft but full of authority. "The galaxy is vast and dangers are never truly gone. But humans like you, they give hope even in the darkest of times. The Council has seen your potential. Remember this moment, and know that your actions will echo far beyond this facility." Ethan looked out at the stars beyond the facility's windows, the battles fought below already becoming memories. He realized that humanity was not just a survivor among the stars. They were a species capable of courage, intelligence, and selfless action. For the first time since the explosion that had brought him here, he allowed himself a moment of peace. Leora's presence reminded him of why he fought, why he risked his life, and why humans could inspire not just themselves but others across the galaxy. The threat had been real, but so had his courage. And the galaxy, he knew, had only begun to see what humans were truly capable of. The aftermath of the battle left the orbital facility calm, but Ethan knew the victory was not the end. The Council had requested a final audience, a meeting to assess the outcome of all the trials and the real threat they had just faced. As he and Leora entered the grand chamber, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The walls shimmered with the same living patterns, but now they reflected the tension and curiosity of those within. The Council members were already gathered, their eyes glowing softly as they observed the two humans. For a moment, silence hung in the room, heavy and weighty as if the air itself were waiting for a verdict. Ethan felt a mix of pride and apprehension. This was the moment where the council would decide whether humanity had earned its place among the stars or whether they would be dismissed as impulsive and reckless. The tallest council member stepped forward, his voice deep and resonant. Ethan of Earth, you have faced trials of courage, intelligence, and adaptability. You have confronted simulations and real danger. You have acted with selflessness, protecting another being above yourself. Your species is young, yet you have shown qualities we rarely see even among older civilizations. Ethan swallowed hard, unsure what to say. I just did what I had to do. I didn't think about the consequences, only about protecting Leora and the people in danger. You acted with reason and heart, another council member replied, her form shimmering like liquid crystal. That is why your actions are remarkable. Humans are capable of great achievements not just in strength but in morality, loyalty, and ingenuity. You have demonstrated these qualities under observation and in true peril. Leora stepped beside Ethan, her hand brushing his arm. He felt her silent support and drew strength from it. We worked together, she said softly. He didn't just protect me, he inspired everyone around him. The council members exchanged glances, then nodded in unison. You have passed our trials, said the silver-formed council member. Not only have you survived, but you have also led, protected, and adapted. Your species has potential that we had not anticipated. Humans are rare indeed. Ethan exhaled, relief flooding through him. He had expected evaluation, perhaps judgment, but instead he found recognition. Recognition not only for his actions, but for the qualities of his entire species. Your actions today, the tallest council member continued, have earned humanity a place among those we trust to maintain balance in the galaxy. You have proven that humans, though untested on a grand scale, possess courage, intelligence, and loyalty. These are qualities that will inspire others and influence the future. Ethan looked at Leora. Her eyes glowed with pride, and a smile spread across her face. She squeezed his arm gently. You did it, she whispered. You showed them who humans really are. I couldn't have done it without you, he replied. Your help made all the difference. The council members observed them thoughtfully. The galaxy is vast, said one, her voice soft but commanding. Dangers will always arise, but we have learned that humans are capable of rising to the occasion. Courage, intelligence, and selflessness. These are the qualities that will ensure survival and inspire others to act rightly. You have shown that even in the face of destruction, hope can prevail. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight and honor of the council's words. This recognition was not only personal, it was a testament to what humanity could achieve. He had faced explosions, impossible choices, and the threat of annihilation, yet he had prevailed. Seralis approached, her expression gentle but proud. Ethan, Leora, your actions have set a precedent. The Council will monitor humanity's progress, but your deeds will be remembered. The galaxy has seen that humans are more than survivors. They are capable of inspiring courage, hope, and cooperation. Ethan felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but also a quiet humility. He had acted out of instinct, compassion, and determination, and yet the outcome was far greater than he had ever imagined. Humanity had earned its place not through power alone, but through character and heart. Leora tugged at his hand. "Come with me," she said, leading him toward a balcony overlooking the stars. The view was breathtaking. Planets, moons, and distant nebulae stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vastness they had only begun to explore. Ethan breathed deeply, feeling a sense of awe. "It's incredible," he whispered. "All of this, and humans are now a part of it?" Leora smiled. "Yes, because of you. Because you risked your life for someone else. That's what matters." He looked at her, feeling a warmth he hadn't expected. "I didn't do it for recognition," he said softly. "I did it because it was right, but I'm glad it mattered." The Council's words echoed in his mind: courage, intelligence, loyalty, selflessness. These were qualities that defined humanity, qualities that he had embodied in his actions, and now they had been acknowledged by a civilization far older, far wiser, and far more advanced than his own. Seralis joined them on the balcony. "The galaxy is watching, Ethan. There are those who doubt humans, those who underestimate your species. But you have shown that humans can rise to the occasion. That is a lesson that will resonate for generations. Ethan nodded, his eyes on the horizon. I'll make sure we don't let them down. Leora squeezed his hand. We'll face it together, just like we have from the beginning. Ethan felt a deep sense of resolve. He had faced danger, uncertainty, and moral dilemmas, but he had never wavered. Humanity had a potential that he had glimpsed, and now he had the responsibility to ensure that potential was realized. The stars stretched before him, endless and inviting. Beyond the battles and trials, beyond the explosions and fear, there was a future, a chance to prove that humans could rise above expectation, to inspire and lead across the galaxy. And Ethan knew that whatever came next, he would face it with courage, intelligence, and heart, not just for himself or for Leora, but for humanity. For the first time, he allowed himself a smile, one of quiet pride and determination. He had risked everything, saved a life, and now, he had earned the trust of beings far older and wiser than he could have imagined. The council's chamber began to fade as he and Leora prepared to leave the sanctuary, but the sense of accomplishment remained. Ethan realized that his journey was not over. The galaxy would continue to challenge him, to test humans, but he was ready. He had faced fire and chaos and survived. He had acted selflessly, and in doing so, had shown the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Leora looked at him, eyes bright. What now? She asked. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility and the spark of adventure. Now we keep going, he said. We protect, we inspire, and we prove that humans belong among the stars. Together, they stepped out into the sunlight of the Zerathi sanctuary, ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges, wonders, and possibilities. And for the first time, Ethan knew that humanity could meet them all, not through brute force but through courage, intelligence, and heart. The galaxy had seen what one human could do. It was time for it to see what humanity could achieve.